I was looking at fake plants recently, and I have to admit, they've gotten really good. Good enough that sometimes you have to get close to tell whether they're real. Good enough that people decorate entire rooms with them now. What struck me was this strange thought. If it creates the same feeling, does it matter that it's fake? This is Cultivating Intelligence, and today we're talking about fake things. Fake plants, fake art, AI-generated output, and the increasingly blurry line between real, artificial, and meaningful. I think humans have always had a complicated relationship with imitation. We admire realism in painting. We create synthetic materials that imitate nature. We build simulations and models in virtual worlds. And yet, we also deeply value authenticity, or at least what we perceive as authenticity. Think about those fake plants. A real plant changes. It grows, it responds to light, and survives difficult seasons. It dies if neglected. A fake plant doesn't do any of that. And yet, sometimes fake plants make people feel calmer, happier, more connected to nature, even though they aren't alive. Which raises a potentially uncomfortable question. If the emotional effect is real, is the experience fake? Fake plants also made me think about relationships. The first time we meet someone, we rarely are meeting the whole person. We're meeting the version they've decided to present. We choose our words carefully. We smile a little more. We avoid conflict. We want to make a good impression. In many ways, we're all a little artificial at first. Not because we're dishonest, but because authenticity usually requires safety. It takes time before people feel comfortable enough to reveal who they really are. Maybe that's why genuine friendships feel so different. They're built slowly through shared experiences, disappointments, laughter, forgiveness, and ordinary moments that quietly accumulate over the years. Authenticity isn't something we discover immediately. It's something we grow into together. Art creates the same tension. People stand in front of paintings and feel deeply moved, even though they know the image itself isn't real. A fictional story can create genuine grief or overwhelming joy. Music can trigger real emotion. A photograph captures only a fragment of reality, and yet we still enjoy them. Humans constantly experience authentic emotions in response to constructed things. And now AI is here. And AI can generate paintings and poetry and voices and photographs and music and conversations that feel emotionally convincing. Sometimes disturbingly convincing. And the reaction people often have is immediate. But it's fake, they say. And maybe technically it is. But I think there's another layer underneath that reaction. Because humans don't just associate real with authenticity. We also associate realness with effort. Historically, effort was visible. A painting represented time, practice, skill, and labor. A garden represented patience, care, and maintenance. A handmade quilt represented hours of stitching, hundreds of decisions, and human attention. Effort created scarcity, and scarcity created value. But AI changes that relationship. Now something can look emotionally compelling, technically impressive, even beautiful, without requiring the same visible human labor. And I think that makes people feel uncomfortable for reasons they don't always recognize. Because when we call something fake, sometimes what we really mean is it feels too easy. Humans are suspicious of easy things. We trust struggle. We trust visual labor. We trust signs of effort. That's why people romanticize hand-thrown pottery, handwritten notes, imperfect brushstrokes, and quilts that aren't perfectly square. Imperfection becomes evidence of humanity, evidence that someone spent time. But I wonder if we've confused authenticity with origin, because we often assume that if something is handmade, natural, or created by a person, it must therefore be authentic. But origin alone doesn't guarantee authenticity. People can perform. Organizations can advertise values they never actually live. A speech can be heartfelt or carefully manufactured. Authenticity isn't simply about who or what created something. It's about whether something genuine exists beneath the surface. That's much harder to recognize, and perhaps even harder to create. I've seen the same pattern play out on nearly every new team I've worked with. During those first few weeks, everyone is exceptionally polite. People are careful with their opinions. They avoid disagreement. They project confidence, even when they're uncertain. On the surface, the team appears to function smoothly. But much of that harmony is performance rather than trust. Then comes the difficult stage. Different perspectives collide. Expectations become clearer. Frustrations emerge. Many organizations mistake that discomfort for failure. But if the team stays together through those moments, something remarkable begins to happen. People stop managing impressions quite so carefully. They ask better questions. They admit mistakes. They challenge ideas without threatening relationships. The team doesn't become stronger because everyone learns to think alike. It becomes stronger because people finally feel safe enough to be themselves. Authenticity isn't the absence of conflict. It's often what emerges after conflict has been navigated well. Families understand something about authenticity that is difficult to manufacture. A family heirloom rarely matters because it's financially valuable. It matters because it carries history. A worn wooden table, an old quilt, a handwritten recipe card. None of those objects are remarkable on their own. Their value comes from generations that gathered around them, the conversations they witnessed, the celebrations they hosted, and even the hardships they quietly endured. The object becomes meaningful because it participated in a story. We don't just inherit possessions. We inherit evidence of lives that were lived before ours, which forces another uncomfortable question. If the outcome feels meaningful, does the process still matter? I don't think there's a simple answer, because effort does matter, but maybe not always for the reasons we assume. Sometimes the process changes the creator more than the creation. Learning to paint or photograph changes the way you observe light. Learning to play music changes the way you hear silence. Raising children changes the way you understand patience. Caring for an aging parent changes the way you understand time. Growing friendships changes the way you understand forgiveness. Many of life's most meaningful experiences transform us long before they produce any visible outcome. The value isn't only in the final object. The value is also in what the process cultivated inside the person creating it. And AI complicates that relationship because AI compresses process. It shortens iteration, experimentation, and execution, sometimes in remarkable ways. Humans are still figuring out whether reducing effort diminishes meaning, or does it simply change where meaning comes from? Because not all effort is valuable. Some friction is unnecessary. Some labor is performative. Some traditions romanticize difficulty simply because difficulty once couldn't be avoided. But at the same time, there's something psychologically important about participating in creation. Nature understands this deeply. Think about a river. You can build an artificial stream in a park. You can carefully place the rocks, pump water through it, shape every curve. It may look remarkably convincing. But a real river does more than resemble a river. It reshapes the landscape around it. It carries sediment downstream. It carves valleys over centuries. It creates habitats for countless species that depend on its movement. Its authenticity isn't found in how it looks. It's found in how it changes everything around it. Perhaps authenticity has less to do with appearance than with influence. Real things change the systems they belong to. Even birds remind us that imitation isn't necessarily deception. Many songbirds learn by listening. They imitate, they practice. Some even borrow sounds from neighboring birds or the environments they live in. Learning often begins by copying before it becomes something uniquely their own. Humans learn the same way. We imitate language, customs, music, and ideas long before we develop our own voice. Perhaps imitation isn't the opposite of intelligence. Perhaps it's one of the earliest stages of learning. The real question isn't whether something imitates, it's what emerges after imitation. Organizations struggle with authenticity too. Almost every company has values printed on a website or displayed on a conference room wall. Integrity, innovation, collaboration, customer first. Those words are easy to write, but their authenticity isn't revealed until they're tested. When deadlines become impossible, when financial pressures increases, when people disagree, that's when values either become real or reveal themselves to have been little more than decoration. Authenticity isn't what survives in comfort. It's what remains visible under pressure. Maybe that's why AI feels less like a technological shift and more like a philosophical one. For the first time, humans are encountering systems capable of producing meaningful looking outcomes without obvious struggle. And that forces us to confront something uncomfortable. How much of value comes from the thing itself, and how much value comes from witnessing the journey behind it? Maybe this is where art, nature, and AI begin to separate. Nature values adaptation. AI values optimization. Humans often find meaning through participation, not always because participation produces a better outcome, but because participation creates connection, memory, investment, and identity. A fake plant may look beautiful, but a real plant changes with you. It leans toward the light. It survives difficult seasons. Sometimes it struggles. Sometimes it flourishes. Its story slowly becomes intertwined with yours. And maybe that's what we're really searching for. Not authenticity, but history. History leaves traces. Weathering, adaptation, memories, mistakes, repairs, and growth. History leaves evidence that something has been shaped by time instead of simply produced. a generated image can be beautiful. A manufactured object can be useful. An AI conversation can even be meaningful. But history is different. History can't be generated instantly. It requires participation. It requires uncertainty. It requires responding to change. It requires becoming something you weren't before. As AI becomes more capable, I don't think the question will simply be whether something is real or artificial. I think we'll begin asking a different question. What has this thing experienced? What changed because it existed? Who was changed by creating it? Those questions are harder to answer, but they may ultimately matter more, because authenticity may never have been about perfection, or originality, or even origin. Perhaps authenticity is simply the accumulation of participation, the unmistakable evidence that something or someone has lived, learned, adapted, and become. And maybe that's what feels most real to us in the end. Not because it couldn't have been generated, but because it couldn't have been lived any other way. Next time, we're talking about the confidence trap and outsourcing our own judgment. This is Cultivating Intelligence.
This podcast explores ideas at the intersection of art, nature, and AI. The perspectives shared are intended to inspire curiosity and conversation, not to serve as professional advice. As with any evolving field, listeners are encouraged to think critically and seek additional perspectives.